What is a construct? Androids are defined as robots with artificial intelligence. On the other hand, mechanoids are robots that simply resemble human-like figure. So what's so different about constructs and what is their importance to the story of Punishing Gray Raven? To begin, let's talk about how the punishing virus affects the humans, robots, and constructs. The punishing virus has no effect on human thoughts. However, it directly affects the cells of human body. This is obvious since the commandants use serum to defend against the virus, and well, essentially you need serum to do anything inside the game. As for robots, the punishing virus directly affects their thoughts by infecting their logic circuits. But unlike humans, the virus has no effect on their body. Now on a very surface level, constructs have the best of both worlds. A reproduced human-like consciousness which the virus cannot corrupt, with reconstructed bodies to resist the virus. This is indeed very optimal for fighting against the punishing virus. But there's a problem. Constructs are affected by an issue called the mind system deviation. So what is the mind system deviation? To explain, let's discuss what the mind system even is. Memory inductive neural depository system, or simply the mind system, a complete simulation of human consciousness for constructs. Think of the construct's mind system as the brain of humans. Now this mind system is created to work together with the construct's strengthened bodies. But because of the synchronization between the mind system and their bodies, the problem of deviation occurs. What do I mean exactly? The mind system is a simulation of human brain, and it expects human-like response from the body. For this reason, constructs' bodies are built with human-like functions, such as the capability of harnessing 5 different senses, the ability to mimic the act of breathing and feeling pain, even having synthetic skin and vital fluids to imitate human blood. Now, what happens if the mind system receives non-human-like reactions from the body? Their deviation value begins to increase. If this deviation passes above a certain threshold, it causes the constructs to lose their sense of consciousness, becoming more susceptible to the punishing virus. If you recall, in the very beginning of the game, Lucia requests her pain receptors to be disabled. Due to the missing response of pain, her mind system begins to deviate, causing her to exhibit unnatural behaviors. Now, if you really think about it, the existence of construct is very ironic. Constructs are essentially powerful entities with human-like consciousness to withstand the effects of the punishing virus. But due to the byproduct of deviation, they are exposed to potential corruption. Unlike humans who simply succumb to the virus and pass on, an infected construct can become superhuman corrupted that fight against humanity. This basically explains why the Purifying Force even exists, a unit that specializes in stopping the corrupted constructs. Whatever the case may be, we can learn that constructs' consciousness are not completely resistant to the punishing virus. To help remedy this inherent issue of constructs, we are introduced to the Mind Beacon and the Inver-Device. In the game of Punishing Gray Raven, Commandant possesses a Mind Beacon, a consciousness hub that the constructs can connect to stabilize their deviations and the level of corruption, essentially helping them stay human. However, the Mind Beacon does have some limitations. Connecting to more than 3 constructs at one time causes heavy burden on Commandant's consciousness. This practically explains why, as players, we can only control 3 constructs at a time throughout our gameplay. Now, to connect to this Mind Beacon of the Commandant, each constructs are required to use an instrument known as the Inver-Device. The Inver-Device serves several purposes. First, as I already mentioned, it is used to connect the consciousness of constructs to the Commandant for stability. Second, it helps measure and resist the corruption of the virus to a certain degree. Third, it is used as a communication device. And lastly, gives the constructs the ability to recall. Recalling is probably one of the most crucial functions that constructs possess. In an event of imminent destruction, constructs can relocate their sense of self to a safe location. It's essentially an ejectocito for their consciousness. Even though the act of recalling causes minor deviation in their mind system, this is by far the biggest benefit of the construct's existence. By recalling, the constructs can retreat to fight another day. This can explain why our constructs are still playable even after falling in battle throughout the game. Now, with all that said, the importance of the Inver-Device is very crucial. If the Inver-Device is broken, discarded, or removed, the constructs have no way to communicate with others or link with the mind beacon of the commandant. This makes them extremely vulnerable in the battlefield and to the punishing virus. With no way to recall their consciousness when faced with death, they will either fade away from existence or worse, become one of the corrupted that will attempt to destroy humanity. Now, regardless of construct's many shortcomings, they are still an integral part of humanity's battle against the punishing virus. With the addition of the Commandant, Mind Beacon, and the Inver-Device, the constructs are the biggest and the most important puzzle piece within the story of Punishing Gray Raven. If you enjoyed this video and the description of the constructs, make sure to smash that like and consider subscribing for more content on the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.